You have been told, probably for most of your life, that you lack discipline. You do not lack discipline. You lack a system. And the difference between those two sentences is the difference between a decade of effort and a decade of results. The people you admire are not fighting themselves every morning. They built a life in which the fight was unnecessary. Most people chase motivation the way they watch weather. They wait for a favourable condition. When they feel ready. When they feel inspired. When the week finally clears. But here is what the science of habit formation and the biographies of extraordinary achievers keep finding, in agreement with each other. The people you admire did not feel like doing the work either. They simply built a life in which the work happened anyway. So the question was never, how do I get motivated? Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are weather. The question is, how do I build a system in which motivation becomes irrelevant? Notice what that costs you to accept. If discipline is a virtue you were issued at birth in some quantity, then the people ahead of you were simply given more, and there is nothing to be done. That story is comfortable. It is also the reason a great many capable people spend their 30s waiting to feel different. The other story is less flattering and far more useful. They are not better at wanting it. They are better at arranging things. That is a skill. Skills can be learned. That question has an answer. It is the second law. Goals are destinations. Systems are the roads that lead to them. And a habit is a road you have travelled so many times that you no longer notice choosing it. The observation that changed how researchers and coaches think about achievement is a simple one. People who succeed over decades are not disciplined in the way the word is usually meant. They are not white-knuckling. Through repetition, they have moved the behaviour below the threshold of decision. Consider what that actually means. A runner does not decide each morning whether to run. A writer does not decide each morning whether to write. The decision was made once, in advance, and everything after it is not willpower. It is the expression of an identity that has already been settled. This is the difference nobody tells you. Discipline, as most people imagine it, is a daily argument you have to win. Discipline, as it actually operates in the lives of people who sustain it, is an argument that was settled long ago and is no longer held. Systems beat goals, and habits beat systems. There is a species of bamboo in China, moso bamboo, that, in the years after planting, shows almost nothing above the soil. You water it, you tend it, you feed the ground, and you get a few inches of green. A second year, a third, a fourth. Nothing that would justify the labour to anyone watching. Then the grove turns, and a moso culm grows the height of an 8-story building in a single season. Some days it puts on the better part of a metre. You could sit beside it and watch it move. What was it doing all those years? Building a root system, carving down into the earth, spreading laterally, establishing the underground architecture that would eventually be capable of holding 90 feet of vertical growth upright. Here is the part worth sitting with. A person who walked past that field in year 2 and said nothing is growing here would not be lying. They would be looking in the wrong place. Everything that mattered was happening, and none of it was visible. Most of what compounds in a human life works exactly like this. Your daily writing, your daily training, your daily reading, for months, sometimes for years, these produce almost nothing you can point to. The bank account does not look different. The body does not look different. The work does not look different. And this is where nearly every attempt dies. Not in the difficulty, in the gap. The stretch of time between when the work begins and when the results become visible. It feels like evidence of failure. It is, almost always, evidence of roots. The people who build extraordinary things are not the ones who found that stretch easy. They are the ones who understood early that visible results are a lagging measure of an invisible structure, and who kept watering ground that looked, to everyone including themselves, entirely bare. Two things are actually driving this. The first is arithmetic, and it is almost absurd. Improve by 1% a day, and compounding takes you to roughly 37 times better across a year. decline by 1% a day, and the same arithmetic takes you very close to zero. Same year, same effort, near enough. Opposite lives. Which means most lives are not decided by catastrophes. They are shaped, quietly, invisibly, across years, by tiny daily inputs compounding in one direction or the other. 30 minutes of reading or 30 minutes of scrolling, the walk or the seat, the conversation you have or the one you keep avoiding. Any one of them, examined alone, is trivial. It is meant to look trivial. That is precisely why it escapes your attention long enough to compound. And compounding has a cruelty built into it, which is worth naming plainly. It is slowest exactly when you most need proof. The curve is flattest at the beginning. The month you have the least evidence is the month you are asked for the most faith. Nobody quits at month 11. They quit at month 2, when the arithmetic has not yet had enough time to show them anything, and the arithmetic, indifferent, keeps running for whoever stays. The second driver is environmental, and it is the one people resist hearing. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems, and your systems are shaped, more than by anything else, by the room you are standing in. The chocolate in the drawer will eventually be eaten. The phone beside the bed will eventually be checked. The friends who do not train will eventually make training feel foreign to you. None of this is a character flaw. Your willpower is a finite daily resource that depletes as the day runs. Your environment does not deplete. It runs constantly, whether you are paying attention to it or not, and it is running while you sleep. So the highest leverage intervention available to you is not another resolution. It is a different room. Move the chocolate out of the house. Leave the phone in another room overnight. Put the shoes by the door. These are not tricks, and they are not motivational theatre. They are architecture. An environment, designed correctly once, produces the behaviour automatically. Without asking you to spend willpower you may not have on the morning it matters. 3 practices. Any one of them, held for 90 days, will produce a measurable shift. 1. The 2-minute rule. James Clear's formulation: any habit you want to build should start with a version that takes 2 minutes. Not because 2 minutes accomplishes anything, because 2 minutes is the threshold of beginning, and beginning is the part that actually fails. The writer who sits down and writes one sentence will, most days, write more than one. The barrier was never the work. It was the starting. 2. The environmental audit. Walk your own space and mark every friction that makes the good behaviour harder and every convenience that makes the bad one easier. Then move things. This is not a willpower problem, and treating it as one is why it has not been solved. It is an engineering problem. Solve it with engineering. 3. Don't break the chain. The practice popularly attributed to Jerry Seinfeld. Mark a calendar every day you do the thing. The goal is not to do the thing. The goal is to not break the chain. After about a fortnight, the chain becomes the motivation on its own. You are no longer performing the habit for the outcome, which is distant and invisible. You are protecting a streak, which is immediate and right in front of you. That substitution is the whole trick. A person who has built a system is not a person who grinds. They are a person who flows. Their life is not organized around discipline as deprivation, the daily, white-knuckled refusal of everything pleasant. It is organized around discipline as design, a set of defaults that, once established, quietly produce the outcomes they wanted anyway. The work happens, the body changes, the craft deepens, the money compounds, not because they were built differently from you, because they arranged a life in which those outcomes were the path of least resistance, and then let the arrangement do the work that willpower was never able to do. And there is a quieter reward underneath the visible one. When the behaviour stops requiring a decision, it stops costing you the small daily humiliation of negotiating with yourself and losing. That negotiation is expensive. Most people pay it every morning before 8 o'clock and call the exhaustion that follows a lack of character. Put the system in place and the negotiation simply ends. What is left is not discipline in the sense you were taught. It is something closer to peace. Systems beat goals. Habits beat systems. What you do every day is who you become. The bamboo knows nothing of the height it will reach. It only knows the next day of growth. Water the roots. Show up tomorrow.